INTERCONTINENTAL SPORTS TV, right here. I can tell you categorically, Nigerian posing 1-0. 1-0. People, we are here again. Monday, baby. Yes, this is INTERCONTINENTAL SPORTS TV. You're welcome to the show. This is the Dawn in the building. Someone will tell you, if you don't understand it, forget about it. This is Nigeria we are focusing on today. Don't mess around. I love my country, Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? Please smash the like on the video. Big up to all Super Eagles. Yes, Super Eagles players, all the fans across the board. Yes. 5K subscribers. Big up to all you fans all over the world. Yes, let's get started. We are cruising. All right, people. I have in the studio the pleasure to welcome this great man all the way from United Kingdom. He's ready to tell me we have issues and we have solutions. Okay, what's going on? Talk to me. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, the Dawn. It's a pleasure to be on Intercontinental Sports TV. Big shout out to everyone joining us right now and watching. You're in for a ride today. Stay tuned.
All right, that being said, that's the great man all the way from United Kingdom. Opa is ready. We're gonna kick some kicking. Right here, we got solutions. Okay, can you imagine? I wish the NFF chairman is watching this program live and direct. I will tell him what to do. What you feel?
He should get his notepad and biro. He should listen attentively and do the needful. Get ready to put words into action.
All right, respect to them. Respect to those people doing something to Nigeria right now. Respect those people that do great things for our country, their country. Let's get it started. I'm going to move on with this great man. Getting ready. Robbie. Can you hear me live and direct, bro?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Good evening to you, Don. Good evening to you, Okwe. It's good to be back on the show once again, talking critically about what is going on in Nigerian football. The game between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau just ended about 5 minutes ago, about 5-10 minutes ago, and it was not an inspiring performance. It was not an inspiring performance from the Super Eagles at all. But more or less, that is the reason why my voice is this down, because I can't believe what I just saw. Yes, Super Eagles by a slim margin, but I cannot believe what I just saw right now.
Yes, you cannot believe, but we got to believe. We got to believe on the solutions. All the NFF crew, they are with, I can assure you guys, they are with their writing pad. Let's go forward, guys. I want to welcome Sheyomi Jora. Sheye, I'm sure you watched the match live. How are you feeling with the game? Super Eagles. Talk to me, Sheye.
Yeah, good evening, Don, and good evening to everyone listening. I actually have a contrary opinion to what Robbie just said.
Yes.
I think compared to what we saw on Friday, this was an improvement. I think we had issues with our finishing. Obviously, I think this game could have been 4 or 5 if we're more clinical. I think we were able to sustain pressure, particularly in that first half where we played with so much intensity, and we barely saw the Guinea-Bissau side in our half. We more or less calmed them in their own half. We pressed really well. We pressed with so much intensity, and at times I even thought that the players were maybe high on something because they seemed to play with some fire in their bellies, really. So I feel in general it was a better performance. Aribo came on, should have scored. Osimhen had a couple of chances after half time. He hit the post with one as well, and I think in the last 2 minutes he played a shot just wide. So I think we played better today. We should have won by more than 1 goal. Performance was better. We saw some combinations out wide. We saw some players make underlapping runs to create chances. So I think in general this was actually a pretty commendable performance.
Well. Yes, that's why we are here. Please, if you're watching this for the first time, this is Sir Intercontinental Sports TV. I have in the studio Okwes here, Shaya is also here, Robbie is also here. We're going to discuss the issues and solutions. If you want to reach out to us, you can call us on the WhatsApp number shown on the screen right now. Anywhere you're watching from, you can watch it from YouTube and also on our channel on Instagram as well, which is at ISTV_1. Straight up, it is what it is. Super Eagles is fantastic. We scored one goal in that game. I watch it a little bit, sometimes. And guys, sometimes watching Nigerian Super Eagles, it be like somehow. They do me like somehow. In those days when we have the likes of, oh my God, Rashidi Ekini, all of us will be glued at it. There's no canon work or there's nothing to even see at this moment. I mean, that's why we're going to go into the issues. But first, I would like to play this intro. We'll be right back, guys. We'll be right back. Yes. All right, guys. Okay, I'm going to start with you. We are talking about the state of Nigerian football. As a Nigerian, I'm sure you have a lot to say, a lot to pick up. But first, let's look at the state of Nigerian football in general compared to, can we say, even with South Africa or Algeria? I mean, in all perspective, let's look at other countries in Africa. Don't let us go to Europe first. What's the state of Nigerian football right now? Talk to me, Okwe.
Man, honestly, if I'm giving it a rating, it has to be very, very poor, because we claim to be the giants of Africa. And then if you see what our African brothers even in the south, from the south and the north of Africa, I need to give kudos to the North Africans. They are doing very well with their leagues and they are improving. But I think very, very close to home is South Africa. And we've seen the advancement of South African local football over the years.
Yeah.
To the extent that they've got good TV licensing, good TV rights. They are well promoted on cable. And I mean, the level of the league is good enough for them to produce players who represent the national team. A good crop of the national team players are from their Super League, the South African Super League. And we even got Nigerians plying their trade over there. We've got Oli Sounda, who's currently playing for Orlando Pirates over there. So we know that the quality of the league is very good. For a good number of years, for more than 2 decades right now, Egyptian Football League has to be the creme de la creme of African football. They go to represent, in the CAF Champions League. Al Ahly has the most, CAF Champions League titles. And then, we go to Morocco as well. We know that Morocco as an institution, they are very good. They are improving. They are coming up. And, in our previous show, I mentioned Uganda as well.
You said Uganda. Yeah.
Uganda is another team that we should look out for. Sooner than later, we will begin to speak of Uganda. And speaking about Morocco, they had a fantastic victory against Brazil in the international game. So this just further buttresses how they are improving as a nation and as a state. So, I mean, compared to other African leagues and other African countries, it's very bad. The Nigerian Professional Football League is very bad. We still have issues, basic issues. When I say basic issues, I'm talking about the facilities of stadiums. I'm talking about the number of world-class FIFA standard stadiums that we need. I'm talking about security, matchday security of players, the security of officials, and then I'm talking about the quality of football. I mean, there's a major reason why for more than 2 decades now, we already have players who ply their trade in the Nigerian Professional Football League have an impact in the team. The period in which we had that was when the Super Eagles were under the tutelage of the late big boss Stephen Keshi. Stephen Keshi was able to find a way to encourage the Nigerian Professional Football League players to continue to improve and continue to do well, and he gave rewards to those who were doing well at that time. I'm talking about the likes of Sunday Uba, Godfrey Obuabona, Kenneth Omero, these were players who were plying their trade in the MPFL, who were doing well, and they got their reward by being members of the Super Eagles squad. But since we've then deviated from our local coaches, the foreign coaches that we've acquired, they just feel that the MPFL players are not good enough, and I don't blame them, because we want to go to battle, go to war against the best of the best in the World Cup. You do need your best players, and currently Nigeria's best players are applying their trade in Europe, and then we seem to have been stagnant with the Nigerian Professional Football League, and also the welfare of the players. The welfare of the players is nothing to write home about. If the national team players have issues, talk less of the local players plying their trade in the Nigerian Professional Football League. But thank God for private clubs who are owned by private institutions who love football so much and who want to give their team the best. I'm talking about the likes of the Remo Stars, the Yimbas, the MFMs, and now there's a new force now in Nigerian football, which is Sporting Lagos. They are doing very well in terms of welfare, taking care of their players and whatnot. So we have a lot to improve on generally. And I think the last aspect, which I would touch on, which affects us a lot, is corruption. Yes, it affects Nigeria, the country. But
you said corruption.
Yes, corruption is deep.
How? When you're talking about corruption,
okay,
I want to take it from the politics aspect of it. When do you mean by corruption?
All right then. So let's start from the most basic form of corruption for me, which is in terms of the players themselves, and this is deep rooted to the grassroots level. I've said on this platform before that I was privileged to be part of, or rather, be working for the company who rejuvenated the Principal's Cup in Lagos. Right? If you know the Principal's Cup, the Principal's Cup is one of the most famous football tournaments for the grassroots. So we're talking about primary schools, we're talking about secondary schools, right? And then during this period, when we rejuvenated it, this was almost 10 years in since we restarted it. And then I came on board, and then, going through these tournaments day by day, at primary school level, these kids are being taught how to dive. That's not how to play the beautiful game. They teach them how to dive, they teach them how to take advantage of their players on the pitch, they teach them how to take advantage of the referees as well.
Wow.
That is corruption. That is deep-rooted as far as I'm concerned. To the extent that these players as well, even at secondary school level, they allow them, the owners of the teams and the coaches, they go and get players from academies, players who do not go to school, players who their only sole purpose is playing football. They take them from the academies, put them as part of the team just because they are desperate to win. Another aspect, is fetish things. Taking these players to go and meet.
Fetish.
Yes, fetish. This is not hearsay. These are things that I witnessed myself. So this is not.
Juju.
Exactly, and this is very recent. I'm talking about a time span between 2015 to 2020 when I was doing this. So these are things that I witnessed live. Bringing native doctors to the venues, having meetings with the players, and you are corrupting these young players. Because these players are so young, they are minors, they are still under the tutelage of their parents, and look at what you're exposing them to. It's a huge problem. And then when we now start going across the age grade levels that we have, I'm talking about under 13, I'm talking about under 16, I'm talking about under 17, under 21, and under 23. We have issues whereby you have people who have spent their lives in the Nigerian National League, the NNL, and even in the NPFL, they've been playing for years. These are 30 plus players of age. Because they are so desperate to make it big, they pay their way to make it into these age grade teams. And then when Nigeria goes for these tournaments, we have made a mockery is made of the teams. In the years gone by, in the past, Nigeria has been known to have very, very good age grade teams. These teams produce our stars of the future. This is where the likes of the Wilson Rumas were discovered, the Mikels, the Demwingers, and whatnot. But now it's being corrupted because we're not allowing the right age of the players come through. I'll give you one example now, the way players force their way into the age groups. There was this, as of 2020, there was this very young boy who was based in the US. His name has skipped my mind. I don't know if Robbie is listening. Maybe he will help me with him. This young boy was based in the US. He's Nigerian, fully Nigerian, but he was based in the US. And he was making the rounds in the US. He was the talk of the US. He was under 13, and then we're going to have an under 13 tournament in Brazil, to be precise. Now, this boy told his parents that, you know what, he wants to represent Nigeria. The NFF got involved. They got in touch with him, got in touch with the family. He was to join. Rather, he went to camp. He went to camp in Brazil with the group of boys, and then when it was now time to make the final cut, because this boy and his family were not going to pay, quote and unquote, a token fee. A friend of the then MPFL president, Amadou Pinnick, because he had the token fee, or he could pay the quote and unquote token fee to the NFF, his son was put ahead of this young boy who was at the camp, and this young man who got into the team was not even in the training camp. So these are the type of issues that we face. I'm so sorry, his name has skipped my mind right now, but if I do remember in the course of the program, I'll put it in for you. Also, if we take a look at this last World Cup that just finished in Qatar, apart from Nigeria, every other African country that was represented there had a coach who was of the country's origin. Morocco, Senegal, and the other, Algeria as well. But we could not say the same for Nigeria. We need to also improve our coaches. Our coaches need to do better. We need to expose them to be much better.
Wow.
Look, Sunday Oliseh had a spell with the Nigerian Super Eagles, and he vowed, after his experience, he vowed never to coach the Nigerian Super Eagles or any Nigerian team again if he still continues to have these issues. And his points were valid. If you cannot allow him pick the players of his desire, players who he feels would have an impact on the team, if you're not going to implement his philosophy through the age grade, then there's a problem. Let's be honest, a major reason why most of these big nations are always successful year in, year out is because they've got native coaches who are good enough, have quality, and implement their philosophy through and through. A good example is Germany. Germany coming out doing very well at the 2010 World Cup was a shock to so many. But then from 2010 down to 2014 when they won the World Cup, when you do your findings, you will see that, look, the German National Football Federation, they put the future of football in the hands of Joachim Löw. Joachim Löw had good hands with him, and he had the freelance to make sure that his philosophy of football was implemented through the different age grades of Germany. That's why since 2010, anytime Germany goes for any competition, they are outstanding. They do well.
Yeah. They play the same kind of pattern.
They play the same pattern of football. It's just a very, very technically gifted team playing a 4-2-3-1 formation, and they are always on top of their game. So if we cannot do that as a nation, then we've got problems, because that means you cannot even plan for the future. Most of these countries, once a manager has finished his tenure, the next manager is probably the one that was coaching the under-21 team, or the manager that was the assistant to the main coach. This is the way it should be, continuity. But we cannot say the same for Nigerian football, because, we believe in getting foreign coaches because we feel that they will get us the result. Genetro was the coach of the Super Eagles for 7 years? What was to show for it? There was nothing to show for it. Now we are with Jose Peseiro. We've played 10 games under him. We've got 6 losses. That's a huge problem. That is a huge problem. And these are coaches who did not have any pedigree before. And then, so what is the basis for bringing these coaches on to then head the national team? It makes absolute no sense to me. Before Genetro left, when he was about to sign his contract extension, one of the clauses in his contract was that he needs to start working hand in hand with the LMC. He needs to be visiting more NPFL games, and he needs to bring in more local players into the team. Look, Genetro came out and said, look, I will not include MPFL players in the squad because they are not up to standard. Nigeria's best players are outside of Nigeria. It's just that simple. Fine, you want him to go all round to watch MPFL games, to scout players, but how does he commute? What about his security? What about his feeding? You are not ready to do all these things for these players. Look, we've got coaches of other national teams. When you're watching their local leagues, you see these coaches in the stadiums, but everything is being catered for. So when you take care of the coach, when he's being well taken care of, he will have no excuse and no other obstacle than to do his job and to do it effectively. But we have different issues here in Nigeria, and then there's some other levels of corruption that I want to speak about, but I think maybe I should put caution to it because we don't know who is watching this and whatnot. There's some other things I can review through my experience. Let's talk about even security as well for the fans. Take a look at the last game that we played against Guinea-Bissau at the Abuja Stadium. Look at how the stadium is. I don't blame fans because we have serious issues of insecurity. I said I've got 2 injuries on my arms here, and this is from going to watch MPFL games. I remember very, very well in 2016 when I went to the Uyo Township Stadium. A game was going on between Eyimba and their rivals, and then because the fans were not okay with the outcome of the game, they took over the stadium, breaking bottles, chasing the referee, beating media men. I'm sure Robbie can give you a lot of insights onto how he has had to secure his own life and his own safety because of
Robbie in the era.
So we even have issues with fan experience. We've got issues with security.
Oh my goodness.
The list is endless. We could be on this show till the next day and we will keep having things to speak about. But let me leave Robbie and Sheye to speak.
All right, yes, Sheye, I'm going to call on you right now for the issues you think the Nigerian Football Federation is having right now. Let me say in general what we are facing as a sport-loving country. I'm sure you have an opinion about these issues. What are your issues that you have jotted down that you want to speak on the program? You're welcome, Sheye.
Yeah, I don't think I can be more eloquent than Okwe on this.
I'm telling you,
he has spoken.
I'm just hearing it. So you said fetish.
I think he has spoken.
Sorry, Sheye, please, I beg you, please let me appeal to you. Just give me 1 minute. What Okwe said has been fetish. I will tell you, is no lie whatsoever. It is the truth, 100% rooted. And I'll wrap up my point so that Sheye can take the stage. About 4 weeks ago, I am telling you what I witnessed. Salami over the Shooting Stars game against Aqua United. Aqua United are also another Nigerian Premier League side.
Oops. Come on, network. Oh, this guy wants to break something down. Robbie, I missed you there. I can't hear you anymore. You can log out and log in again. People want to hear your opinion. Come on, internet. Sheye, you can take over. Maybe it's gonna come up again.
Yeah, so I said I don't think it will be easy to speak more eloquently than Okwe has spoken on this topic. Yeah. But I'll just narrow my view down to the Super Eagles. I think before I talk about the Super Eagles, I think from the guys in the glass house, the higher ups, I think there's a lack of accountability. There's loads of mismanagement. I think they make the wrong decisions regarding managerial appointments and the staff around them. I hope that's those are the things that the new NFF chairman would want to, or the president would want to change going forward. We've seen him put down some rules, but let's see how far those rules can actually take us. For one, he wants more home-based players in the squad. I think we can argue about the quality of the league and then say that, look, do we have enough quality players in the league that can actually make the squads? I think that remains to be seen. But I feel in terms of selection, I think even regarding the foreign-based players, we need to pick players based on merit and not based on maybe past reputation. Because this current squad, I think you can list a couple of names that you feel shouldn't have been in the squad. For instance, Frank Onyeka, Joe Aribo, shouldn't be in the squad. Even Wilfred Ndidi, I don't think he should be in the squad because he has barely played for Leicester recently, but it's not even as bad as Onyeka and Joe Aribo. And as for Joe Aribo, he's not even training with the Southampton first team anymore. He's currently with the reserve side, which it's just really jarring because for him to now make the Super Eagles team is a bit depressing because you have players like Peter Etebo and Rafael Onyedika who are actually playing for their clubs and they play in midfield as well. So why are those guys not in the squad? Whereas players like Frank Onyeka, who has played about 37 minutes since the turn of the year, they're getting call-ups. Whereas players that are actually playing week in week out for their clubs are not in the squad. So that's one thing we need to fix. Um, Mismanagement, calling players based on merits. That's also something that needs to be fixed. So I think I'll just leave Robbie's back, so I'll just let him continue his story.
Story. Robbie, we want that story back, please. Sorry, we lost you there.
Sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry. My network was a bit messy. So, like I said, to quickly wrap up that point. Before the start of that game, a staff of our Shooting Stars walked onto the pitch.
Oh my goodness. Is it the juju?
In the full glare of everybody.
Robbie, I think the network is absolutely bad there.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
All right, go on.
Okay, so like I said, he peed in the middle of the field, and of course, the IMC later came out to clamp on it. It was banned for 1 year, and the club had to dissociate themselves from him. And what was his reason for doing that? He said because the visiting team planted juju in the middle of the pitch, and his urine was meant to neutralize it. So it tells you what is going on at this stage in the league. I will make my point quickly because just like Okwerati said, if we begin to talk about Nigerian football right now, we will still be here till tomorrow. First and foremost, the second stanza of the MPFL, I will give you practical examples. The second stanza of the MPFL kicked off last weekend. That was yesterday. And there were about 10 games across the country. But here is the conundrum to this whole thing. Did you know that there was what we called the Nigerian transfer window during that period? And there was really nothing. There was no platform. There was no agency. There was no coverage for how players were transferred from one club to the other. Just like we see it in the world transfer window, even with Nigerian players, what's his name, Joe Aribo leaving Rangers for Southampton. We never had such a thing in Nigeria. We just had one Sonuku Biojo left Agbado FC and is going to be playing for Shakespeare FC, and you just begin to like, okay, what happened? Where is this person coming from? How many years contract was given to him, and so on and so forth. We do not have those details. We don't have them whatsoever. I have spoken in many forums where I have asked that why is it that we don't have an agency or platform that tracks the movement of players from one club to the other? How come the monies or how come the fees paid by club A to club B for a certain player is never disclosed? How come? Those are issues that we're asking about. Also, we're asking questions as touching how many years contracts do players sign from one club to the other? There is still no definite answers as touching all these questions as regards Nigerian football up till this very moment.
Oh my goodness.
You just hear a certain Akuneto transferred from Eyimba FC and he's playing for let's say maybe Bendel Insurance. And you begin to ask, okay, how much did Bendel Insurance paid to Eyimba? How many years contract did this Akuneto sign?
We lost him again. We're still talking on the issue. Do you want to wrap up your the issue?
Yes, one aspect that I didn't talk about was the hierarchy and people in important places. Didon, if you want change, we need people who are going to lead by example. And I'll just give you the perfect scenario, and I'm going to call his name out. Now, look, when Genetro was given that new contract, the last one he signed before he left, when he was told, one of the clauses in the contract, like I said before, was for him to, visit NPFL games.
So sorry about my network. I really don't understand what is going on today. Okay, you're talking, right?
Yes, first. So let's let me quickly finish. Didon, you're on mute, just in case you are
All
trying
right.
to speak. So
Yes.
just like I was saying before, you know what? When that clause was put in the NFL contract, you know, saying he should be visiting MPFL games, work hand in hand with the LMC. The NFF chairman at that time, Amadou Pinnick, he himself, how many MPFL games does Amadou Pinnick attend? And this same Amadou Pinnick, who is the leader of NFF, he is a season ticket holder at Arsenal Football Club. One. Number two, he has an executive box at Arsenal Football Club.
Whoa.
And he doesn't even attend every home game. Sometimes he's not there, but his box is always filled with luxurious women, quote and unquote. So if my leader is telling me and my employer is telling me to go and do A, and I've not seen my employer doing A as well, tell me how I want to successfully do A when my employer is doing Z.
God damn it.
So, and also, I'm going to call out Sunday Dare as well. Sunday Dare has been the Minister for Youth and Sports for 2 tenures now. And what does he have to show for it? What has been the state of the Nigerian sporting industry? Under Sunday Dare, we've seen a massive decline in sports. For the first time ever at the last Olympics, Nigeria had no representation in boxing. We had no representation. Is it not from Olympic boxing that Ify Ajagba came through?
Came true, yeah.
For the first time ever since we started competing in boxing in the Olympic sport, we had no representation. Why is that? Funds. I remember vividly when these boxers, the likes of Tony Salam, when they were getting prepared to go for the tryouts, the Olympic tryouts here in the African region in Egypt. 2020, the beginning of that year, the IOC sent $1 million to every federation. What was the purpose of the money? To secure logistics for your members who will be going, to these countries to go for their qualifiers. So the Nigerian Boxing Federation received that money January 20th, 2020. Now, come August, when it's now time to get these boxers and their team to go for the qualifiers, they said the funds are missing. 2 weeks before these boys were meant to fly. Meanwhile, these boxers were preparing, they were training in a horrendous ring at National Stadium. If you see the state of the boxing ring and the boxing gym at National Stadium, you will be so sorry for Nigeria.
Wow. And
yet, when these boxers found out about this, they wanted to come to the media at that point in time. They reached out to me. They wanted to They reached out to me on a Monday. I said I was going to come on a Wednesday to cover the story and put it on the media. By the time I got there on Wednesday, they had been threatened by the Nigerian Boxing Federation that if they dare go ahead and speak and say what they want to say, their licenses will be revoked.
Man.
So what are we talking about? The institution is dead and gone. It is a problem. So that will be my final statement, because I've spoken from the grassroots level up and I've ended at the highest peak. Our leaders need to do more.
Okay. Talking about this grassroots, from the grassroots compared to where I am right now, with what I've seen so far, even my own kids, one of them is playing soccer, football, and also basketball. It gets to a point whereby at their stage is in grade 5. It can choose 2 sports. So it chose basketball and soccer. And taking him down to the training is always a difficult thing for me. Do you know they got him a car to come and take him from home down to the pitch. There was a day I was there to witness that, how they train them. How, if you see the sporting environment, it looks like a national, the pitch, the coach coming up with a laptop to show them this is the skill. I said, they are silly. They never start professional stuff now.
That's the thing. You want the child to become a superstar. It's from the
telling you from the, If you see the kits, everything provided for them, as in free, as in you're just coming in, you pay a token. That means, I mean, what I mean by token is just to register. Yeah. And all the apron, everything you need will be supplied. And you get to the pitch and said, what the cones, the arrangements, the laptop, I mean, the screen, everything will be shown to the kids. Oh, you play like this, you move like this. I say, waiting now, you know.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. One more example, talking about athletics now, you know, diving away from football, letting you know that it is not just football alone that is suffering in Nigeria. It is sports generally. And I'm still attacking Sunday Dari. Now, we're talking about athletics, right? When was the last, apart from the female, when was the last time we produced a Divine Oduduru? And speaking about a Divine Oduduru who was being mocked by Nigerians on social media, you know, when he ran that very impressive time in 2018, you know, because of his stammering and not being so good in English. Now, we couldn't even nurture him to get to the next level. He was poached by University of Texas in the US. He was given full-time scholarship on 4 years. He's been sponsored by Under Armour. And you know what? He's working to be one of the fastest in the world. In the year 2020, he ran one of the fastest times under 9 seconds. How many Nigerian athletes have been able to run a 100-meter time of under 9 seconds? How many can we talk about? And we couldn't even take care of our own. A very, very close personal friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine who was working to be an athlete.
Yeah.
After secondary school, he decided not to go to university. He wrote the necessary qualifications to get into a school in America. They poached him. He sent them his running videos, and they offered him 30% scholarship. His parents were willing to pay, you know, to cover the remaining 70% and get there. By the time he got to the US, he said to me, he said, look, he's scared. He feels like he cannot match up. Why is that? Because his fellow age mates and fellow peers, they have been properly prepared since they were in primary school. And he just started proper preparation post-secondary school because there was no enabling environment. He did not have a standard coach who could help him with his nutrition. He didn't have access to a proper gym. You know, he was just relying on his inbuilt pure talent. And then when he got there, at first he was getting last in all the races. But the more he put himself into the system, he got entrenched into the system. By his third year, he became one of the fastest sprinters across American universities. Yeah. Now, the Nigerian Athletic Federation, they got to know about him. They got in touch with him. They got in touch with his family. In 2019, when it was time for the Nigerian Games, where we would pick athletes that will be then recruited to the Olympic team that they'll start training with, who will then go for the Olympics in 2020. They called him. They said, you know what? We've seen your races. We've seen what you are doing in all these races. We want you to come and represent Nigeria, but we want you to do it the right way. Come for the tryouts and let's see what happens. Now, this is someone who is this is someone who was now on full scholarship. He had been posted by University of Texas, where Divine Oduduru is. They are giving him full scholarship. He's being sponsored by Nike. You are telling him to come to Nigeria. You have no provision for his traveling expenses. You have no provision for where he's going to stay. You are telling him, oh, but you're a Nigerian boy, but oh, your parents have a house in Nigeria. I mean, just imagine, look at the statements you are uttering because you want to try and poach somebody to represent us, and then as a country, you have nothing to offer your own. I mean, these are just the basic issues, and this is why I don't blame anybody when they decide to naturalize, take another citizenship, and represent another country, because the truth is, what does Nigeria have to offer? What does the NFF have to offer? What does the Nigerian Boxing Federation have to offer? What does the Nigerian Athletic Association have to offer? These are the questions that we need to answer. Time is going. Talents are wasting.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because of time, we're quickly going to look at some solution, because I'm looking for maybe on Friday when we are coming for our preview for the games in EPL. We're going to talk more on the solutions, but thereabout, because of our time, time counts. I'm going to allow Sheye briefly. I know there's so many solutions we can look into, but from your point of view, what are the exact things we do Nigeria has to start looking It's a long story. Sheye, talk to me. Do you think of any solutions yet for going forward? I think I lost Sheye there as well. Robbie, can you hear me?
Yes. The network has been.
I can imagine. Bro. I can imagine.
I think one of the issues are that we since we're actually talking about the solution right now, I think one of the issues we really need to first and foremost look into, which is very, very difficult, is picking leaders who actually understand what sport is all about. Yeah. Because unfortunately, Ibrahim Guzo is the president of the NFF, and one of the questions we ask is, what are the antecedents of Ibrahim Guzo before vying for that office? Unfortunately as well, his election was not even an election, it was more or less like an installation, because Ibrahim Guzo is a protege of Amaju Pinnick that just left the position. So it was more or less like as if Amaju Pinnick was the one that put him in that position right now. For the solutions going forward, I think we need to get people who are knowledgeable about sports. We need policies. We need policies that are channeled towards
you're already talking about two solutions, because I want the NFF. They are jotting it down as I speak. Or somebody.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I said we need leaders. Yes, we need leaders who know about sport in depth, not people who are just politicians.
Okay, now, if you're talking about leaders, are we looking at the past? Maybe Super Eagles, maybe a sports person taking over.
Yes.
Should it be someone in charge of something that we know is very good in managing stuffs? When you're talking, I want to
first. Okay, first and foremost, when we're talking about people who know about sports, we're talking about people who have played.
I think Robbie is having a difficulties with this.
Yeah, Robbie is spot on. We need people who understand the game, people who are preferably.
Now, when you're talking about people that understand the game, is it the game or this person knows how to manage? Because
first of all,
I see a situation whereby I might not know the game, but I might not know what you're talking about. Yeah. I can manage a particular thing.
Okay, so now this is what we need. This is what we need first of all. We need people who are passionate about sports as a whole. So when I say people who are passionate about sports, now this type of people, these are the people that I need in the ministerial positions.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful.
Okay. Now and then they now have the pedigree of politics. They know how to manage. They know how to be diplomatic. They know how to be objective and set goals and make sure that those goals and objectives are achieved. That's the first step. Now, the next step is that we need specialists. For example, I would so much love a Sunday Ulisse to be the president of NFF. Somebody who has played the game at the highest level, who has a passion for the game, someone who has the adequate qualification to head a football institute. That's what I'm talking about. And then if I'm not going deeper, I then say to you that I want local coaches. When I say local coaches, I mean coaches who are Nigerian, not necessarily born and bred in Nigeria, but preferably born and bred in Nigeria. You have the passion for football or the sports that you are managing,
yes,
and you are adequately qualified. You need to have the proper qualification, and then you've got good experience. Because the truth is that you need foreign expertise. Even the best of coaches who coach all these big footballing nations that we talk about, they've got foreign expertise. They've gone to acquire knowledge from other countries. Yes. Whether it be another European country, it could be a South American country. Even some of them even come to Africa to even see how it's really going. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you want to be the best, you need to understand that, first of all, you are not the best. So you need to learn from the best. You need to learn from other people. So, you are gaining knowledge, but you're also gaining from other people, and you're gaining experience. So this is what we mean. I'm sure that's what Robbie means when he says he needs qualified people.
Yes.
Let me share something with you. Last year, I was speaking to somebody who is currently I'm not going to mention his name. He's currently in the setup of NFF, right? We're speaking about generally football in Nigeria and whatnot, and then we were speaking about coaches and the problem we have with coaches and why we cannot produce world-class coaches. He said to me, he's in the institution, though, he's still with NFF, he's still working with them.
Yeah.
He said to me that, Ope, if you want to become a certified football manager in Nigeria, you need only 1 day. He said, you will go to so and so place. I will not mention the place. He said, you will go to the receptionist. You will tell the person, I want the certification to become a coach in Nigeria. I will pay X amount. Whoa. There and there, I have become a coach. This is somebody that is within the institution. That is somebody that is within the institution.
Okay, all right. Okay, now, because I'm going to do, I think I'm going to wrap up something. These solutions we are talking about, I will make sure we pencil it down, we publish it. And for the viewers, we want to do something. This is our time to do something. And I want Robbie or Sheye to come into this. When we are talking about corruption, how can we deal with this aspect? I think if it is one of the issues, one of the problems we are facing. How do I should not go there?
First and foremost, you cannot kill corruption. Well, you are outside the country, you understand how the system works. Because before my network messes up again, you were talking about your kid, that your kid plays in a school, he had to choose between football and basketball. And I was about to ask a question that first and foremost, has your kid ever come home to tell you that he was discriminated against? Has your kid ever come home to tell you that, the coach did not attend to him or the coach sat him down for no reason? Well, these are issues you face right here in Nigeria. And of course, players who have shown the desire to want to represent Nigeria, who come from abroad, are discriminated against. I'll give you a case in point of Ladan Boso from the just concluded AFCON Cup of Nations for Under 20. Some players came from abroad to register their intent and desire to represent Nigeria at the Under 20 level. Do you know what Ladan Boso said to them? Ladan Boso said, and I quote, that they cannot play African football, that is the reason why they did not make the team, that he does not need them now, that he needs them when Nigeria qualifies for the Under 20 World Cup. How about that for a statement? Wow. How about that for a statement? That is a statement credited to Ladan Boso. I follow these stories every day and I cover things like this every blessed day. So for the issue of corruption, I'll tell you the truth, you cannot kill corruption in Nigeria. I would say this so that I will allow Sheye talk. In 2012, I served at the highest football body in Nigeria. I served at the National Sports Commission. That was where I did my NYSC service for 1 year. And I'll give an example of how corrupt the Nigerian system is. While I was there, I was so close to my boss that he allowed me access into some very, very sensitive files. And I'm stating this for the records today. While I was there, I would give you a case of two federations in Nigeria, the Weightlifting Federation of Nigeria and the Tennis Federation of Nigeria. Do you know, if I tell you today, that the president of the Nigerian Tennis Federation attends all the Grand Slams in the world? Do you know that?
What?
And what if I tell you that since I was born, I have never seen a Nigerian play in the Grand Slam, but the Tennis Federation president attends every Grand Slam. As of when I was 7, I treated a file where the tennis president attended or was preparing to attend the US Open, where you are, was preparing to attend the US Open, and he was going to attend that competition for 2 weeks. And he was going to get, I think he was going to get roughly in the region of about $500 per day for 2 weeks. And this is a federation that has done nothing in terms of development of tennis in Nigeria, let alone produce a player for Grand Slam of Nigerian descent. South Africa is the only country.
All right, Robbie. Are you now saying? Are you now saying corruption? We should forget it. It can't.
Forget it. Forget it.
Do you agree?
Sheye will agree with me. Ask Sheye, how did the NFF president emerge? How many candidates came outside Nigeria? And what were they? And what was said to those candidates?
Well, to be honest, I think erasing corruption totally will. I don't want to be the person being all negative, but I think it's going to be really, really hard, if not close to impossible, to actually erase corruption totally, because even the average guy, the way he thinks. Now I'm talking about the average guy on the street. You can tell from how they actually out there. You can tell from their opinions that, look, if this guy is actually in a position of power, he's going to embezzle, he's going to mismanage funds, he's not going to be accountable. So I think this thing is actually pretty deep rooted. So it's hard to say that, look, we can erase corruption totally. So I just feel we can just bring in checks to be able to hold these people accountable to their actions. Because if you look at lots of decisions that are made in the hierarchy, you can just tell that, look, this thing you're doing is actually flawed. There are several issues from the grassroots to the top, where you can pick out flaws in decision making. You can pick out the short term thinking in how the higher ups actually view situations. And I just feel if this continues, we'll keep experiencing this cycle of poor decision making, poor planning, poor plans for our football at every level, because the discipline is not there. There is no organization. So the corruption angle, I think it's actually here to stay. Pardon me for being all negative. I just think I don't see how it ends, because the average person is just really, really, I don't know, the from the ground level, really, the people are not, they don't want to be accountable. And if that is someone's foundation, I don't think there's really a solution to that.
Oh my goodness. So we are now saying corruption should sit down for one corner first.
Beyond,
just be realistic.
The highest footballing body is not void of corruption. So if corruption is associated with FIFA, so what are we saying about the other small bodies? So it's just, and no, Nigeria is blessed. It is well.
Oh my goodness. But we are still talking about solution. People, anywhere you're watching from, you can drop your comment in the comment section. Let's know the way forward, the solution to this problem we have highlighted on this show. And just because of our time, we will be gathering here on Friday again. We want to look at the solutions to the state of Nigerian football. It's been a fantastic moment. At least we won 1-0. Robbie, give us you said the game was so boring, kind of, and I think we are top of the league. Sorry, the top of the group.
Yes, we're on top of the table. We have with that victory, we have 8 points.
Right.
Yes, we have 8 points. We have 8 points, and Guinea-Bissau has 6 points. So we are good to go. If we can win at least one of the next 2 games, we have qualified for the African Cup of Nations.
All right. Okay. I want to just use your time right now, like 2 minutes, to just wrap up. I'm talking about the issues and also the solution in 2 minutes. Just before we go about publishing this. Yeah.
To be honest, I feel that the international bodies, if they are really concerned about their children, when I say their children, I mean the associations under them and the other federations under them, if they are really, really concerned about their progress, their development, because I feel that as a president, I want to see my ministers doing their jobs properly, effectively. Yeah. So I think these international associations, they need to take more responsibility. Yes, it is a difficult task. I mean, because you can say to them that maybe if they even want to do a cleansing or making sure that there's progress, they are going from continent to continent and whatnot. However, it is something that needs to be done. Because I feel that if these international organizations say that, you know what, we want to focus on one federation this year, let's pay attention to them. Let's make sure that things are being done right. Because FIFA, one of the rules of FIFA says that a football association or a football federation must be devoid of political interference. So if the Nigerian Football Federation is not free of political interference. It cannot.
Okay. Let me give you an assignment. Go and read about the rule they call Decree 101. I have a book on it that was written by Segun Odegbami. Decree 101 is the problem of Nigeria right now. That's Decree 101. Yes, the government will tell you that they are not interfering with sports, but look at it. Nigeria sources its money from the pockets of the government. Yes. So Decree 101 is one of the problems of Nigerian football.
Yeah.
Decree 101.
One last thing before we go. Amaju Pinnick made NFF so politically inclined because he was like this. He was 5 and 6 with politicians. So for us to be free of that maybe we need to invite the Holy Spirit to cleanse us.
Robbie, I am interested in that Decree 101.
Okay.
We could publish it. I really want to know, Decree 101. I mean, government interfering to sports. I mean, that shouldn't be the case. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that shouldn't be the case. Just like Okpe said, that is one of the things that FIFA said. The government has no business with sport. Let sport work on its own. Let government work on its own. So, Decree 101 practically modeled everything together.
Okay, well, because of our time, I want to thank all people that are watching right away, anywhere you're watching from. I know people are still, we're still looking at the way we can engage people to talk on this show. As time goes on, it's just a matter of time. I know people are still, looking at, can I speak? Am I able to talk? But okay, you're still going to be here on Friday, talking about in a brief, the solution. We mentioned about the administration. I've mentioned about putting the right person at the right place. That's what's one of. I raised about the issue of corruption. That one I should forget it. Okay. All right, people. This is how far we can go tonight. Okay, thank you so much for showing up on this show. It's been a fantastic moment.
It's always a pleasure to see you on Friday.
On Friday we shall be here, God's willing. Thank you, okay, so much. Robbie, one love, bro. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right. Chayomi Diora, one love, bro. Thank you for showing up on this one.
Thank you, Didon. It's always a pleasure to talk football.
Thank you so much, guys. Please smash the like on the video. This is how far we can go tonight. We'll be back on Friday to put more light on this topic. What is going on tonight with Nigeria, the state of Nigerian football, the issues and the solution. I know definitely everybody has one or two things to talk about to say. You can drop your comments and also subscribe to this channel. This is INTERCONTINENTAL SPORTS TV. This is how far the dawn can go tonight. No one thing. On the station, when it rains, it falls. Thank you so much, guys. Bye for now.